Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Entrepreneurial Mindset Pitfalls. Right now, I'd like to talk about the team building aspect, because many entrepreneurs and actually also in my lectures, people ask, should I start a business with my friends or better with someone else? And there's always a positive and negative side to that, and I'd like to go deeper into that a little bit, because the advantage of starting your business with your friends is that you know these people and you might know what they bring to the table, but in many, many cases you don't know that for real. And this is where the problem starts. So if you only hire people you like, you don't hire people you need. And this is one of the big pitfalls entrepreneurs make. Only hiring people you like. Because if you hire the people you like, might not be the ones you need and lead to problems. And in many cases, when an entrepreneur starts a business and he knows someone and is a good friend, he doesn't really look closely onto the skill set the other has. And it might be irrelevant, or it might not be complementing enough. Because if you know people, you know it in the same business school, or you know friends around you who have the same background in, say, mechanical engineering, but when it comes to selling something, you need marketing skills. So the guy from a tech background maybe needs someone from the business school, and a business school background, he needs someone from a different background. And if you as an entrepreneur don't look at the skill set enough, and you might have a perspective which is too similar and you don't want to go into conflicts with your friends, you take them on board, but then it's lacking skills in your business. Because as we said before, your business has to be heterogeneous to some extent. You have to have complementary skills, and you shouldn't have problems with conflicts. And this is also one of the issues you're running in, because with people you don't know, you're willing to go into a conflict. And the conflict can be positive. If you didn't learn really to go into a conflict with your friends, that'll lead to even bigger conflicts and problems later on. Because if a business doesn't go too well, and there's always the point, and I had a couple of businesses when we close to bankruptcy, and they recovered very, very well. But especially in this situation of bankruptcy or close to bankruptcy, in the one moment we lost one of the co-founders. Because the co-founders then discovered, well, I had a totally different idea of why I want to build the business. And I don't want to go through that these days. And this is when the real problems start, because the entrepreneurs didn't learn really to solve their conflicts in a positive way. And then they have less learning, they perform worse, and it's lacking basically skills in the company. So this is the first thing. The first thing is, think about who you really need in your company. And it is not necessarily your friends. It could be totally different people because it's different skill set and so on. It might be counterproductive if it's your friend, even though you know them a lot better than other people. And secondly, then when you hired people, when you built your team, think about actively managing conflicts. Because this is the second pitfall you might run in. Not managing conflicts in an active, proactive way. Because what happens is, if you build a heterogeneous team with different skill sets, these people have different language, for example. They don't understand themselves automatically. With your friends, it's totally easy. You know them for years, and he always knows what you think. But with strangers, it's more difficult. You have to talk about the language. You have to talk about what means profits, what means if he talks about his technology, for example. And if you don't manage the conflicts, it will result into bad conflicts, bad conflicts, you only fight to each other, but you don't get it to a decision or a solution, and you just go away from each other. You destroy the team, the moral of the team members, and you might polarize and divide the team. So this is why it's important, especially if you have a heterogeneous team, to manage conflicts. To say, okay, first of all, we have to maybe talk about the rules of our team discussion. Make up rules. Go into some meta-communication, which means communication about your own communication. And if you do that, you can use the conflicts in a good way. You can use them in order to find better solutions. Because it's important to have conflicts if they are on a rational level. If they get effective, it turns out they are really bad. And this is why you have to manage the conflicts. And if you do that, it results in a solution. It increases involvement of the team members, and the cohesiveness of the team will be higher at the very end. So important is to ask yourself, what do you need as team members? And then think about the skill set, think about the personalities, remember what you said before, and then build your team. And it's not necessarily friends. In most cases, different people, because you need a different skill set. And if you put your team together, then start managing the conflicts there. Again, we have two examples for that. The first example is what the founder of Action Coach said. It may sound great to do business with your friends, because it's always good to be around friends. But remember, in the business world, it's always business first and friendship second. And maybe you have to make a decision when you have to get rid of a team member. It's even tougher if it's your friend. Also remember, most times when the business ends, so does the friendship. And this is another aspect to that. Maybe you want to divide it up and say, okay, this is my professional life and this is my personal life. In my personal life, there are my friends, and in my professional life, I might have friends too, but I do business first. And if you look at the second example, this is what Peter Sims gave us in 2013 in the Harvard Business Review. And he wrote that he wrote it about Steve Jobs, feeling that he needed an experienced operating and marketing partner. The 29-year-old Jobs lured Scully to Apple with the now legendary pitch, do you want to sell sugared water for the rest of your life, or do you want to come with me and change the world? This to explain Scully was working for Pepsi before. So that's why it became legendary. And Scully took the bait, and within 2 years, Scully had organized a board campaign to fire Jobs. Interestingly enough. So Jobs hired a friend, and this guy, he wanted to get rid of him. So Jobs himself would surely consider hiring Scully as a great mistake. So be aware whom you hire on your team, whom you do business with. Not necessarily your friends, but you might want to get along with them. So how do you overcome these two pitfalls? How can you mitigate that? Well, look at that very closely, what everyone brings to the table. And do not only try to understand the skills which are necessary for your company, also try to understand personalities, also try to understand motivation of the founders. Because in many cases, companies go longer than some people expect because they want to exit earlier. And then this leads to conflicts. So try to understand your partners. Even if they are your friends, try to understand their critical skills. And then develop a culture that promotes your company's value and vision, plus managing conflicts, and to some extent disregard personal feelings or formal collaboration when making a hiring decision. Again, a company is not the extension of friendship. A company is a company, and there it's business first.